Alrighty guys, we're back in the basement and we're looking at, you're probably thinking this is one of my several 8550s. Well, this is actually a new one that I got. So yes, I have four 8550s now. This one is an 8550 WLB-267. So this is, I actually have all three generations of the 8550 now. I have two first gen 8550s. I have a 8550W with Wi-Fi. And this is the WLB, which is Wi-Fi and lock capable. I also have my WLED up here, so I'm really just missing the 8550W. And then I need to get a first gen 2500 and a 3850, and then I'll have all the generations of the DC belt drives. Anyway, this one was made in July of 2019, so this one is a bit of an older one. It still has a powder coated chassis, and it still has old style light covers, which I do prefer the old style light covers. So this operator was replaced. I just did a head swap on this operator. I replaced it with an 87504. Reason being, so kind of the story on how this machine failed. It had a bad motor and a bad board. This is the original board out of it, and you can see we have a burn spot right there. So I replaced the board and it still wasn't working, so I put a new motor in this. Now this one has the, actually first of all, so the story on how this opener broke. So the door this was on was like a 16 by 6.6 Clope low headroom door. Pretty low ceiling in there. And I think we had clamped the springs, and we were going back to replace the springs. And you weren't really able to wind the springs with the door down because there wasn't enough room. The strut was getting in the way. And if you took the strut off, the winding bar would hit the glass, and you don't want that to happen, obviously. So somebody, I don't know who was changing the spring. It wasn't me, but they were doing it with the door up, and they weren't able to get the tube. There wasn't enough room to get the tube down from up there, so that means they had to bring the door down with no springs. So they connected it to the operator, and they were there helping the putting pressure on the door so that the operator isn't struggling very much. But somehow, in the middle of that, the motor just completely gave out, crapped out, so we just did a head swap. So this one has the silver motor in it, which I did have another silver motor, but that one is actually the same issue with this one. It was like jammed or just had completely failed. I still have both of those motors because the gears in them are still good, just the motors are not. So if I ever need those gears, then I will use them. But what I have in here right now is I have a black motor. Actually, what I did is I took the original motor from my HD 900D because that motor was still good. It was just the gear was bad. And I took the gear out of an 8500 motor, and I basically just stuck it in this motor and put it in here. So this opener doesn't sound exactly the way it's supposed to, but it works for now. If I find another silver motor, I will put it in here. And you know, I could have gotten, these have a lifetime motor warranty, so I could have gotten one, but I figure I have the parts here already to make something work, so that's good enough. I'm trying to remember if that was it. I think that is about it. So let's go ahead and run this one a few times and show you how it works. I have an 880 LM hooked up, so here we go. So yeah, I can hear it's a little noisy. It doesn't really sound quite right, but again, it works. So we'll run it down. And the lock. Alright. I've got my 877 LM programmed as usual, so we'll run it with this. And run it down. This is an 893 Max. MC, I think. Yep. Alrighty, I'll give you a battery backup demo of this operator. And the lock will retract. This one does slow down at the end. Back down. And then the lock doesn't re-engage in battery mode just to save power. I will plug this in, and then I will give you a timer to close demo. Okay, we'll set a timer to close, and then I will run the other two openers for you while we wait. Just 1 minute. And here we go. We'll start with the mini door 8550P. This thing's been great and nice and quiet, but I might swap it out for something different here soon. And I'll run the LiftMaster. And back down. And we'll give this a few more seconds. Alright, and there is my new 8550WLB. The one other thing I have, so I've got a little project that I want to try to do. So recently I got another one of these Craftsman screw drives, 53993D. This is a 3240 equivalent. I have another one of these, but I actually was convinced to build a MyQ screw drive out of this. So that's what I'm going to do. I just need to get the parts to do so. So once I get those parts, I will get that figured out. So yeah, that'll just be a little project that I will work on as time allows. So anyway, that's about it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all later.